Olá pessoal, eu sou o César Benzoni da São Paulo Bluegrass Music Association e vim aqui hoje para falar para vocês que o nosso novo site está no ar. O nosso site conta com uma plataforma bem mais moderna, vamos ter matérias constantes, temos informações sobre Bluegrass, a São Paulo Bluegrass School com contato de vários professores de mandolin, banjo, violino, violão, enfim. Então espero que vocês gostem, fiquem de olho no nosso site, na nossa página. E hoje, para comemorar essa inauguração, a gente tem uma entrevista mais que especial com o Matt Munsey, da banda Monroeville, que vai falar aqui com a gente por videoconferência. Ele está lá nos Estados Unidos e nós aqui do Brasil vamos entrar em contato com ele.
They say get a job, quit chasing dreams. Now he's bagging groceries. Whoa, be natural.
I have here with me Matt Munsey from Monroeville. Welcome to Brazil. How are you doing?
Thanks for the interview, man. Glad to catch up with you via Skype here.
All right, so I would like to know more about your musical background. I know you have some musicians in your family, right?
That's correct. Yeah, my mom and dad both were musicians and singers, and so when we were young, my sister and I have a sister that's older than me and a sister that's younger than me. And my older sister and I both started piano lessons when we were like 3 years old. My older sister, she loved the piano lessons, took to that very well. I didn't really enjoy the piano lessons. I didn't do very well with lessons. So when I turned 7 years old, my dad got me my first guitar. We actually lived in Mexico at the time. And so it was a nice, small Mexican classical style guitar. I started playing guitar, and I told my mom that I wanted to stop piano lessons, and she said, well, will you work on guitar? And I said, yeah, if you let me quit piano lessons, I'll teach myself guitar. And so I did that, and never took lessons again from that point, and started mandolin, I think when I was about 11, and it was that time that my family all started playing in a band together. So we kind of had a bluegrass gospel band for a few years when I was between, about 11 and 16 years old.
Then horns of victory, crowns of glory, arms of victory I shall wear.
You also play the banjo, right?
I do, yeah. I play, my main instruments are mandolin, guitar, the bass, and banjo. Those are the ones I'm most proficient in. And I can play a little bit of other stuff, but those are my main instruments.
Cool. And what about the approach with bluegrass music?
Yeah, my family are actually from East Tennessee. So East Tennessee is popular for bluegrass music, and my dad always loved Bill Monroe, always loved Flat and Scruggs. We didn't really play bluegrass until he bought me the mandolin. And when I was 11 years old, that's when they got me a mandolin. And we started playing bluegrass because he bought a banjo at the same time and wanted to learn to play the banjo, and I learned to play the mandolin. So that background here in East Tennessee is what brought us to bluegrass.
Oh, great. And how long have you been playing with Monroeville?
I actually was part of the founding group of guys in Monroeville, and it was 2010 that we started this band, and we were actually, most of us were playing in another band together, and we decided to form this group, Monroeville. So Monroeville's been around since 2010, so we're going on 6 years now that we've been together.
Cool. I remember hearing on the radio and seeing in websites like Bluegrass Today or something?
Yeah, we've always kept a presence. The first year of Monroeville, within the first year that we were formed, we played Gray Fox, Rocky Grass, IBMA. We were nominated for an IBMA award. Won the Momentum Band of the Year. We played Red, White, Bluegrass. We played some of the largest festivals in the country, all within like the first year of Monroeville. So it was quite a blur the first year. It just kind of flew by, you know. We've recorded a lot of music over the years. We've put some things out that we pulled back, and you know, we had the first original project, just the Monroeville project, and you know, we don't even sell that one anymore. That's just one that's kind of sitting in the catalog for now. And there were a few things that kind of came out after that, like some singles and stuff that we did. I guess in April of 2014, we released an album called Can't Put Me Out. And even that album, we sold quite a few of those and did pretty well with that. But as of right now, for our third project, we're kind of rebranding a little bit. We're kind of getting more to the point of what the sound we want to be and what kind of sound we want to have. So for the time being, our projects are kind of pulled back. We're not really selling anything right now because we want to put our best foot forward, and the next album that's coming out is actually going to be the representation that we want for Monroeville. You should see some more of that coming out soon. It'll probably be the beginning of next year when it comes out.
And you guys had some school projects with the band, right?
One of the things that we've really focused on since the beginning of Monroeville has been working with young people, young musicians, inspiring young musicians to play. If you play music, you can probably think of that one time that you were inspired, or that one person that just made you think, man, I would really love to do that. And, you know, if we can do our part by trying to be an example and be that inspiration for somebody, then it's almost like repaying that inspiration that we had. So that's a big part of us, and we want to be able to give resources for young people, for them to be able to learn. A lot of like what you're doing in Brazil. I mean, there aren't a lot of resources there. So you're doing your best to try to provide those resources so people can learn, they can get the stuff they need. And we believe in that same kind of mentality here. You know, it's our responsibility to be able to give those kind of things to people that are just learning.
Yeah. So I met you in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, so I would like to you to tell us more about your relationship with this town. This is an amazing town. I really enjoy the view and the feeling of it.
Yeah, Gatlinburg's a really unique place. I've actually been playing in Gatlinburg for about 10 years. Started playing music there about 2005. And that's actually where I began my career, playing music full time. So I've played various places there. I've played on the streets. I've played in little shopping plazas and parking lots and all kinds of stuff like that. And about 5 years ago, a moonshine distillery opened up, and we started working with them early on. And within the first year, they were having bands every day, all day, pretty much, because the music was just drawing so many people in. It paid to hire the band. So for the last 5 years, I've worked off and on with the distillery and in that area in Gatlinburg. Now we've expanded a little bit. We play two places. We play Gatlinburg at the Moonshine Distillery, and there's also another location in Pigeon Forge, which is just down the road, another Moonshine Distillery, same company. And then in that same area in Pigeon Forge, there's Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville,
Yeah.
And we really like that corporation. Jimmy Buffett, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's just he's a really smart businessman. He developed this empire from one song. He was a musician first, and a songwriter, country singer is what he called himself. And he just had one big hit that set him up, and he was able to build this just massive, corporation out of it. And we're honored to work with them. So we play at Margaritaville a lot. So right now we've not even really been touring because we wanted to kind of pull everything back. We pulled the albums down. We're not really selling anything right now. We're working on the new music, and we're playing right here close to home at those locations. And once the new music's done and the new album is ready to be released, we're gonna hit it hard, start touring again, start playing the bigger and more significant things.
I saw in the late Monroeville album, you were the producer, right? And I would like to know more about your career as a producer and sound engineer, your studio life.
Yeah, that's a good question. We the very first Monroeville project, we worked with a producer out of Nashville, and we kind of co-produced it with him. The latest one, the Can't Put Me Out album, I produced the entire thing because I had always been a big part of the production. So it was time that I started kind of stepping into that role and taking more responsibility there. I was around recording a lot when I was really young and always fascinated with it. So when I was about 16 or 17, I bought my first interface, actually a Digi-002. I don't know if you remember those. Console, had faders on it and everything, and used Pro Tools. And I purchased that system and started just toying around with it and doing different things. And then just out of nowhere, I started getting better at it, started working at it. And I recorded a project and produced a project. I engineered it, mixed it, produced it, and it was with a former band I was in called Second Wind. And that album actually got a Grammy nomination. And so that really kind of solidified my role as an engineer, as a producer, as for mixing. And from that point, I've taken on a couple of projects, but I've kind of limited the amount of stuff I've done just to mainly the Monroeville stuff, because I wanted to really, I kind of got established, but I wanted my work to really speak for itself. And I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a perfectionist, so everything that I put out, I'm like, man, that could be better, that could be better. And so everything I've done is just kind of steadily getting better and better and better. I like to hire engineers so I don't have to engineer my own stuff. Mm-hmm. Mainly, I do a lot of stuff at home, but I also rent studios. Just in the last few months, we went to New York, and one of the songs that I wrote, we felt needed an orchestra. So I have a friend that's a fiddle player that's also a composer, and his name is Aaron Malone. And he composed an orchestra section for this song. And we went to New York, and we brought in students from Juilliard School of Arts, and we brought in this whole orchestra section, and we played the song together in this giant studio. And then I took all the files home with me to mix. So I hired engineers and studios to do all that, and then I'll take the stuff home and mix. And then the next leg, we went to St. Louis, Missouri, where my drummer lives, and we actually recorded 5 songs in a studio in St. Louis, Missouri, and recorded 5 songs there. just drums, and I play a little guitar with him just to keep them where we're at. And I brought all those files back here, and the rest of the band is laying all the stuff here at my house because I don't really have the means to record drums in my personal studio. So
I know how it is.
You know how that is, yeah. Drums are a tricky thing to do right. You gotta have it. You gotta have the right setup.
Yeah. You have drums in the late album, right?
Yeah, every Monroeville project has had some drums on it. Yeah. And we found that most of the material that people liked the best was actually with drums. We called ourselves Monroeville after Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music. But and that's our tribute to bluegrass music. But we don't define ourselves by bluegrass. We like everything. All of our history is in bluegrass, and we'll always do bluegrass. And what we believe is that we should be able to create and make our own music, and at the same time do bluegrass. And what I would like to do is to get Monroeville to a point where we have a large fan base that may not have even heard of what bluegrass is, and they come to one of our shows because they like one of our songs or whatever. And during our show, we just give them some Bill Monroe, lay some Uncle Pin on them, and introduce a whole new crowd to traditional bluegrass music because we love it. That's part of who we are.
So I really love the 2 CDs I have here. Those are really great with different sounding albums, but those are amazing. I love traveling in my car listening to those albums.
Thank you very much, man.
And do you have any advice for people that are in Brazil and they are starting to listen to bluegrass, starting to playing?
Yeah. Try to find as much of the music as you can. And when I started playing bluegrass, I learned by listening to the albums. So I would put the album on, and I would just try to mimic whatever I was listening to, just using my ear. And I think doing that by listening to if you're getting good music, if you're getting some of the best and you're listening to it, that's going to teach you what it's supposed to sound like, and you'll be able to recreate that, and then hopefully be able to create your own sound, because music is art, and I don't think there's any rules about music. We put things in boxes. So, bluegrass to me is defined by Bill Monroe and Earl Scruggs and Lester Flatt. To me, that's bluegrass. Then there'll never be another, Bill Monroe and Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. But everybody that's come along since then has kind of had their own little twist to it, and to me, I appreciate each one for what it is. And so don't close your mind. Be open. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to try different sounds, try different things. Some of it's not always going to sound great. That's fine. It's an expression. It's art. There's no rules to it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's kind of go with the evolution of music, of sounds. I always say this to people. If they stop in Ernest Tubb, there would be no Willie Nelson, there would be no Merle Haggard, and then there would be no Alan Jackson if they stop in Merle Haggard stuff, and then. So
exactly, and it doesn't mean you have to like everything. We all have taste and opinions, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think everything needs to be just appreciated for what it is instead of trying to compare two different things,
All right, thanks, Matt, for being with us. Unfortunately, we cannot have a coffee here, but it was great having you here talking to São Paulo Bluegrass Music Association.
Thank you so much, man. Looking forward to seeing the new website.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.